Chapter 2. The next morning I ate breakfast with Mother and Falzar before Mother went off to hunt more gulaks. Then I wandered around the yard outside, making sure to stay within the boundary. After that I dozed on the partially rotting log. And then, around mid-morning, Falzar and I went inside to leaf through some of Mother's books again. I usually did that exact pattern twice a day, once before Mother came home for lunch, and again before she arrived for dinner. But this morning, I didn't even make it to the bookshelf. I froze midway across the main room, my gaze riveted to the cabinet above the kitchen counter, the one on the far right that contained the magical weapon. Stop it, Mara. Don't focus on that. Mother showed you the weapon yesterday, and you promised not to go near it until you're of age. Still, Mother had only given me a glimpse of the weapon. I hadn't gotten to see it up close and personal, really examine it, perhaps even touch it. Besides, what was the big deal if I did any of those things? It wasn't like I could activate it, even accidentally, since the cabin realm didn't contain a magic current, and such a powerful magical weapon would definitely need one to be used. Besides, I didn't even have my full powers yet. Mara, stop it. You know better. You must heed Mother's wishes. Stay away from the cabinet and weapon. So I forced myself to look away and continue toward the bookcase, but I couldn't help but stop again right before I reached it and slowly turned my head back toward the cabinet. Naughty, naughty! I almost jumped at Falzar's voice. He was currently perched on the kitchen table. Stop looking at the cabinet, Mara. You know you're not supposed to go near it. I know. I snapped my head back to the bookcase and ran my hand along a row of books, their spines thick, aged leather soft against my skin. Such a comforting feeling. But I couldn't focus on the lovely sensation very long. My hand stopped on the spine of a particularly large hardcover book, trembling slightly. You know, I said, it wouldn't be such a terrible thing to take a peek up close at the weapon, now would it? You know, just a teensy-weensy one? I mean, what could really be the harm, right? Falzar flew into the air, fluttering especially loudly, and landed on top of the bookcase. He gazed down at me with a pair of narrow, beady eyes that glimmered in the light cast by the flames in the sconces of the walls. Absolutely not. Mother made it perfectly clear that you're not even to think about doing such a thing, and you don't want to upset her, do you? But she doesn't have to know. All I do is open up the cabinet, take a really quick look at the weapon up close, and then close it. That's all. And then I won't go anywhere near it the whole rest of the day, or the whole 7 years until I'm ready to use it. I mean, really, there's no harm in that, especially since there's not even a magic current in the cabin realm. Falzar quivered his little wings and shuffled his tiny clawed feet. I don't like it, Mara, not one bit. Goes against Mother's rules. She's been such a great mother all these years, you know, both to you and me. And she'd be so very upset with you if... But I was barely paying attention. I picked up one of the 2 kitchen table chairs, placed it in front of the counter, and stepped onto it. Oh, Mara, you're asking for it now. You really are. Stop it, right this moment, seriously, before... I reached out and gripped the cabinet handle, then slowly pulled the cabinet open. Mara, stop! There it was, nestled neatly inside. I reached out and placed a finger on the metal, which was cool to the touch and sent a light shiver along my spine. Mara, you are only going to take a peek. Now go on and close the cabinet right this very moment. I mean it, young lady. But the weapon looks so amazing and dangerous, even though it was obviously safe here in the cabin realm. I bet it'll easily destroy Lord Sycorath. You have to come take a closer look, Falzar. Come over and take a little peek for yourself. Oh, I'd really rather not, Mara. It sounds like he was still perched on the bookcase across the room. Now, please, kindly close the cabinet door right this very moment and hop down from there. Mother will be back soon, and... Yeah, but not for a little while. I grabbed part of the metal portion of the weapon with both hands and slowly pulled the whole thing out of the cabinet, though its weight nearly yanked me right off the chair. I had to hastily adjust my footing and brace myself by nudging my elbow against the side of the counter. Dang, this thing was heavier than I thought. I could barely hear Falzar squawking madly as I jumped down from the chair and changed my grip, placing one hand under the large wooden part at one end and the other under the smaller one under the metal part. It just felt natural. "Hey, look," I said. "There's a little hole in this thing, at the end of the long, skinny metal part facing me." "I bet that's where the magic flies out when you use the weapon. But seriously, Mara, you should—" But I turned him out again as I turned the mysterious object around. I wonder what this is." I studied the small circle of metal that jutted from the bottom of the weapon just past the larger wooden segment. A tiny curl of metal resided inside that. I placed my finger along the inside of the curl. It just felt right, then pushed against it a little. The curl of metal gave a bit. I wonder. I pushed a little harder, and the curl gave a little more. Then it suddenly whipped violently backwards, even farther, along the whole weapon, a thunderous noise ringing out. The momentum kicked me backwards, and I slammed my head and back against the wooden cabinets below the counter, then slumped to the ground. Searing pain flashed through me, deafening ringing filling my ears. Haziness took over me as though I were lost in a cloud filled with multiple magic currents. "Mara! Mara!" Falzar squawked.